Hello, all you beautiful souls of the Wasteland. Welcome back. Today we're diving into the new Shattered Grounds, Fallout 76's explosive auto handmade. That's got some serious potential if you could overlook a few major letdowns. Now, stick around to find out if this baby's worth your time. P.S. It's probably not. To snag the Shattered Grounds, you'll need to complete the quest Double-Crossed Wires that was added with the new Skyline Valley expansion. It's a reward you'll get from completing the quest. The max level for this bad boy, since it is a handmade, is 45. This bad boy packs a sweet 45 damage per shot with a 20-round mag and a amazing AP cost of just 10 per shot. Perfect for all you VATS auto rifle lovers out there. I know that is me, but again, let's talk about the actual stats of this weapon and the mods and effects and if it's actually good or not. On the outlook, it looks like an amazing rifle, but let's talk about it. Like I said, now let's talk about the mods and the legendary effects. Like I said earlier, this is a 3-star legendary weapon, so you will have 3 awesome legendary effects, or not so awesome legendary effects in this case. But first, the mods. We are decked out with a tweaked receiver, an aligned long barrel, and a nice little reflex sight. Some pretty decent mods in terms of a handmade. But here's where things get extremely interesting. The legendary effects, like I said, there are 3 of them. We have the Junkies effect for 50% damage with addictions. It's not really the best. Again, I don't know too many Junkie users in Fallout 76 as of right now. Explosive, which is fucking awesome. Obviously, the explosive auto rifles in this game are amazing, and then you have the lightweight legendary effect on there also, just to add another layer of fucking kick-assery. But like I said, the Junkies is what ruins this gun. It could have been perfect for everyone out there, for the VATS players and for the rifle players, but unfortunately, that Junkies is not a good look for it. It does definitely diminish the power and the DPS of this weapon. Now, before we get into the positives and the negatives of this weapon, I do just want to say there are a couple of perk cards that you could throw on to increase the DPS of this bad boy, since it's not that great with that Junkie's legendary effect. First off, you could throw on the Demolition Expert perk card, because this weapon is explosive, so it does benefit from that card. And now again, you could throw in any of the Commando perk cards because it is a automatic rifle. And honestly, I'm going to say, if you're using this gun, if you're not a low level, if you're a higher level trying to fuck with this gun, throw on both of those. You're going to need it. This gun kind of sucks without the boosts. Alright, firstly, let's hop into the positives of the Shattered Grounds. And first off, I'm going to have to comment on the look of this weapon. I think this weapon looks fucking amazing, just like all of the other weapons in this DLC. It's pure eye candy, just like everything else in this fucking expansion. And then obviously, we can't talk about the positives without mentioning the explosive legendary effect. If you are a lower level, this can be your first explosive weapon, which is a great way to start outputting some serious DPS. Now, there are better explosive weapons in the game, obviously, but for a free automatic handmade that comes with an explosive legendary effect, not that bad. Obviously, throw that on there. That is the only benefit to this weapon in terms of DPS. That explosive effect is the only thing about this weapon that lets you do damage. And then, like I said, for most of the weapons in this game, the strongest positive, or most of the weapons in this expansion, not the whole game, excuse me, is the fact that this gun is perfect for lower levels. If you're a high level and you have a fucking bloodied explosive fixer, you're not going to use this thing, so don't even try it. Just grab it, complete the quest, throw it on your wall. But if you are a lower level and struggling through the game, it can definitely help you, and I suggest you get it and build a build around it. It won't harm you, I promise you that, especially if you are struggling. Go ahead, go into the Skyline Valley expansion, complete the main quest. You'll walk away with a couple of pretty badass weapons that could help you get through the main game of 76, and could even help you into the end game. But There are a lot of negatives associated with this gun, so let's talk about them. Like I said, this weapon has a lot of negatives, and the negatives unfortunately outweigh the positives, so let's talk about them. First and foremost, we have the two kind of shitty rolls that come with this weapon. I'm talking about the junkies and the lightweight. Obviously, explosive is awesome. We just put it in the positive category of this weapon. But let's talk about junkies. It's fucking terrible. I don't know anyone that still uses it. It's 2024. If you use a Junkies build, please let me know in the comments, and I will try and send you some fucking psychiatric help. But it's not that great. It sucks. DPS for a Junkies build is very, very, very low, and also upkeeping with all of your chem addictions is pretty, pretty fucking annoying. It just adds another list of chores that you don't want to do when you have all your dailies and everything like that. Lightweight. I know that I said lightweight was a good perk, and it is, but more for heavy guns than it is really for rifles, mainly because there are like perks that have the weight reductions in place for like a rifleman or something like that that you could throw on. However, though, lightweight is really good for lower level players because they don't have to waste any perk slots. That's right. If you're higher level, throw on rifleman. It doesn't really matter. But if you are a lower level, all perk cards can help you, and Rifleman isn't necessarily an essential one that you want to have on right from the start. And then one last thing to add to the negative section. I don't really consider this a negative, but I have to mention it because if not, you guys will bring it up in the comments. Just like every other weapon introduced in this expansion, you cannot re-roll them. That means you cannot reuse the skin. The skin is attached to this weapon and these rolls. If you do not like these rolls, you cannot take the skin and put it on a bloodied handmade, for example. You have to leave it on this weapon. Some people find that annoying. I necessarily don't. The handmade has a lot of cool skins by itself, so that's really not a huge issue. I would understand if it's something like a Tesla rifle or the railway that doesn't have the best skins in the entire world, but handmade has a lot of cool skins. Regardless, you cannot re-roll this bad boy, and you cannot put the skin on another handmade. All right, now we're getting into the nitty gritty of this weapon, the testing and performance. As you guys have seen in throughout this entire video, against basic mobs like the Scorched and the Ghouls, it's a fucking massacre. This gun does great work. Super, super low armor enemies. This thing is not really going to have a problem, especially if you have a VATS automatic rifle build. You could kind of slaughter with most guns. If this thing didn't have explosive, I would still be able to kill these mobs, but just wanted to throw that in there. It's not bad for basic mobbing. That's why I say if you're a lower level, grab this bad boy. You should be able to fucking take down basically most basic mobs with no problem. Now, moving on to the heavier armor enemies like the super mutants or some cryptid snallygasters, and then obviously the grafted monster. But super mutants, this thing does okay. You can notice the drop off again if you have a build that fucking boosts most of the damage coming from this weapon. It's not going to be the worst, but you could obviously tell it's no fixer, and there's just better handmaids out there. A two-shot explosive handmaid's going to be better, and obviously a fucking bloodied explosive handmaid is going to be better. So against those, it starts to drop off. You could still kill them, and then obviously I do not suggest you try to use this thing against raid bosses as your main. If you are a lower level, again, this thing could output more DPS than probably most things that you have because of the explosive and the ability to boost the DPS with so many different perk cards. But if you are a higher level, don't use this thing of raid bosses. You will be fucking over the team. Just try and use a actual DPS based weapon, like a fucking fixer or a railway. Don't use the shattered grounds. Again, unless you're fucking level 50, you just got it and you don't have anything else to use. It's not a big deal. So, basic mobs could kill them really easily, no problem. Everyone knew that that was kind of going to be it. Super mutants start to drop off a little bit. Cryptids, like the grafted monster, also starts to drop off a little bit, and then raid bosses, not really going to be doing much with the raid bosses, I'm going to be honest with you. But again, if you are a low level, this thing can be a lifesaver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I unfortunately do have to say that this is probably the worst weapon introduced under this update, which is such a shame because it had so much potential. Just like the Ticket to Revenge, this gun could have been so good if they didn't have the junkies effect on it. While I do say a free explosive handmade is, I'm never going to turn it down, and I highly suggest that if you are a low level and struggling, like I said many times in this video, get this gun, try it out. It will help you along with all of the other guns in this expansion, but it is definitely the worst one in this expansion. It's lacking so much. It just doesn't it does the least DPS out of any gun introduced in this expansion, unfortunately, and it is just lacking in every category besides the skin. The skin is cool as fuck, but even in the expansion, there were better looking guns, unfortunately. Again, like the Ticket to Revenge. So this thing is just a letdown, unfortunately. I would give this thing like a fucking 2 out of 10 in terms of unique weapons in Fallout 76, which is saying a lot. But again, for the 50th time, if you're low level, grab this thing, try it out. You'll love it, no problem at all. If you're a veteran, grab this thing, throw it on the wall. Obviously, you're going to complete the fucking quest anyway, so you might as well just keep it and at least on one of your characters or on a mule. And if you're a lower level, this thing can be your best friend if you complete the quest. But I hope you guys found this video useful. Let me know what your favorite gun or weapon from this expansion is. I'm always curious. Let me know what you think of the Shattered Grounds. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay fucking badass, everyone in the Wasteland.